Hey guys, we are at part 5, how to change and adapt your workflow depending on the project you're working on. Heads up, the workflow I'm about to show you is the one I came up with during my years working on interactive projects and doing motion design. It may not be the best one, but it's my own and feel free to adapt it and change it depending on the project you're doing and depending on your setup. First plugin is AEUX from Google. It's developed by Adam Plouffe and his teammates, and this plugin, while it's still beta and there are some bugs, it's very helpful and it allows you to import your design files from Figma, Sketch, or XD directly into After Effects. Let's see how it works. Alright, so I have my work file. I need to select the composition, which is here, and I can just tidy up everything so I have everything named and organized in a way that is it's going to be simple in After Effects. So I just need to select my artboard and go into the plugin window, and then it opens this window. Here you have this option, very helpful, to export a reference image, and when you hit this button it's going to directly open and transfer all the files in After Effects. So in After Effects you need to have this open as well, and here you can select if you want to have a retina or regular version. For the comp size you can select the frame rate, the duration, and you should check those boxes so it's gonna make comps out of folder. You are going to notice once you load the file that you will have some bugs. Often the bugs come from the letter spacing, which you can change directly here, and also the files. If the link are broken, you should relink it. So how you can do that is to right click and go to reveal and reveal layer source in project. And here what you can do is right click and you can say replace, and it's gonna automatically relink your object to your scene. The second plugin I use a lot is FX Console by Video Copilot. So this plugin is also free and it allows you to browse effect very quickly. Let me show you. We have our comp, and on After Effects when you want to show and browse effect, you can either go in this window and right click and browse effects. You can also click here and browse effect as well, or you can search here. You have a search bar that I removed. So both all those options are fine, but it's time consuming, and when you work a lot of hours on After Effects, it can be a bit of trouble. Like if you use this bar and you have so many effects, and if you use the search bar to the right and you search, for instance, blur, you're gonna have all the different effects, and it's sometimes you only use the Gaussian blur, and it's such a struggle to find it easily and quickly. It works on both Windows and Mac, and it's Command space or Control space. And if I do that, I need to select a layer, and then I do Control space, and then I have this Windows opening, and then I can just search for the effect I'm looking for. Let's say like blur, and similarly to the search function to the right, you see that you have all those blur things effect before the Gaussian one, which is the one I'm looking for. So the good trick about that is you can right click and say add to favorite, and here it's gonna be the first result every time. And let's say I select this one and boom, it's already displayed here. So this effect, this plugin is gonna help you gain so much time, and every time you can just apply and search for effect here, and it's so useful. Next plugin is RD Comp Setter. This one is free as well, and it's gonna speed up your workflow a lot. So how does it work? Sometimes you need to change the parameters of your comps, and when you have nested comps, so comps within comps, it's such a struggle. So let me show you, like for instance, here I have 60 frames per second, and I have a duration of 12 seconds. And if I were to change this to, let's say, 15 seconds and 30 image per second, and I would hit OK, and then I would zoom out, I see that I can, of course, make this longer, but this I can't because it's a comp. So this comp has its own settings. So I would need to go in here do Command K to have the settings, and make it 15 seconds. And then again, I would need to zoom out, select those layers, and make them 15 seconds. So then it would work, and I would need to do that again. So this is such a long process. So this is why this plugin, RD Comsetter, is very helpful. Let me show you. So you go to Files and Scripts, and then you go to RD Comsetter, and you have this window opening, and you have several parameters that you can change. And what it's going to do is that you can pick duration, for instance, and let's say 20 seconds. You can select 20 frame, let's say 20 seconds, and I want to do 30 frame per second. And then double check the update nested composition is checked, and you hit apply. And then what it does is that if you zoom out, it's changing automatically the settings of all the comps inside these comps. So let's verify here. Let's say Command K, 30 frame per second, 20 seconds duration. And if I go in this, it works. 30 frames per second and 20 frames duration. 20 seconds. So this plugin is going to help you speed up your workflow, and when you have huge files with a lot of compositions, it's going to help you a lot. Next plugin is Move Anchor Point. I use this one every day, and I know it's $2, but if you animate websites and you start digging After Effects, I would definitely recommend investing. So let me show you how powerful this plugin is. Let's say I want to animate this image as the page loads. So I'm gonna go into Window, Move Anchor Point, and I have this window popping up. And here I want to quickly show you, so I don't have to explain later, that you can display channels for each layers. So let's say P is position, T is opacity, S is for scales, and you have so many more. So here I want to animate the position, and here's the trick. If you hold the shift key, you can add more channels directly in your view. So T for opacity and S for scale. And I'm gonna go to the first frame, and I'm gonna keep this as my end position. So as it's my end position, here you have a nice shortcut which is Alt and Shift, and you can move keyframes by 10. Like so it's 10 keyframes, 20, 30. And I'm gonna add new keyframes, and I'm gonna animate my layer upward. Here I'm gonna add a Y axis scale, and I'm gonna remove the opacity. So let's see how it works. Alright, so here I don't have any easings, and there you go. And it doesn't work very well because you see like the scale comes from the center, and it makes it all weird. So the power of this plugin is that you can on the fly, see, you can on the fly move the anchor point of your object like this. And let's see, I'm gonna move it to the bottom side, and I'm gonna see that now it works way better because now the transform axis and anchor origin is at the bottom. So this plugin works for every type of object. Let's say I'm doing like this weird polygon shape, and here you can see like the anchor point is here, and it's very annoying to center, and which is very helpful because I have this plugin and I can move this around, which is going to help me animate easily any shape. Okay, so next plugin is the most important one to me. Flow. Flow helps you manage your easing curves and also helps you export your easing for the dev team. So it's like very valuable, and the price is $30, okay, but it's so much worth it. So I would definitely recommend buying this for sure as a first investment. So in After Effects, you have several ways to act and change your easing curves. So the easiest way is, of course, to have, let's see, a quick animation. So redoing this one and 150 and 0, and I had the same animation than before. And the easiest way to do easings is the keyframe assistance, and then you have three presets, and it's very basic, and you don't want that, it's very lame. So you want to use the keyframe velocity, or uh, you want to use manually like drag keyframe. So let's say I want to hit this, and I'm going to drag it to the left, and I'm going to drag this to the left as well, and this one as well. And here it means it's going to go fast and slow. Like the 8 is the speed. So let's see. Okay, so now we have a nice animation, and I drag the cursor, the handle to the left, meaning that it's gonna be very fast and very slow. So let's say I'm gonna reset my curves, and I want to animate this in a nice way. Like maybe it's too fast. Like this is too fast. Like the influence. See here, the influence is 100, meaning like it's gonna be as fast as possible. So if I want to make it slow, so I'm gonna try to go to 50, and see it's very hard to go for 50. I can definitely try to match it, and it's gonna be such a struggle. So I can always zoom and try to match it, and it's so annoying. Like let's say this one, 50 again, and 50, and you have numbers. It's not round numbers, so it's so annoying. And let's see. Yeah, it works, but it's not precise, and it's very easy here, but if you have several layers, it's going to be such a struggle to match every time. So you have this way of doing this, and then you have another way, which is to select a layer and to go to keyframe velocity. And here you see like I have settings. So let's say I'm going to reset all my keyframes. So I'm going to hit Control on Windows, and I'm going to click on this twice, and then I see that it resets my keyframes. And now I'm going to show you the third way. I'm going to try to decide I want to do fast then slow. So I'm going to use this easing, and I'm going to do right click, and I'm going to go to keyframe velocity. And here I see I have an influence number similarly to the curve view. So I'm going to try like 65. Okay, I like this. I'm going to go here, right click. I'm going to go 65 as well, and this one as well. And let's see. It looks like it's very similar, and it works. So this is pretty handy, and you could say like, okay, I'm gonna use this. I don't need this plugin. But the annoying part is that as this parameter has dimension like position values, this one has a percentage values with two values, and this one has only one. You cannot pick several ones and use this. It's not gonna work. So the problem with this is that you need to do every value one after another. This is where flow is very helpful and very powerful. Let me show you. You go to Window and you open into Extension and Flow. So you have this view, and I used a three item line because if I do that, I see that I have the ease in and the ease out. It's exactly the same pattern as this. You have the slow, fast, slow, then slow, fast, and then fast, slow. And so you can say like this, if you have a line here, cutting the line in half, you have the first part, which is this one, and the second part, which is this one. So this one is the sum of those two. So it's easier for you to display this in a line, a column, or three. Let's see how it works. So I'm gonna reset this, and I'm gonna try to hit cubic. And if you don't know those terms like ease, quad, cubic, quart, quint, expo, and so on, it's pre-established easing curves used by developers. So when you use this and your developer friend is integrating your files, your designs, you can already use existing easing curves. So it's way easier. It's the standard of web industry. So try to use those as much as possible. Let's see here if I hit apply, I see that it did something here, and you have the curves already changed. So let's see how it works. And the power of flow is that you can change it on the go. Like let's say I want a quart out and I apply it. It's changing automatically without even me having to stop the preview bar. And it's very powerful because you can either change this on the fly, look, or you can also um, read your values for your developer. So let's say I have this and I want to export it for the web. Here I have my Bezier value and I see that I can export and read the values of my existing and selected keyframes. So you know that here it's exactly what you're gonna see in the browser. Next plugin is TextEvo. This plugin is available on iescript.com and the price is up to you. So be fair to the guy and the team who's working behind it, and it's a very strong plugin. As you already guessed, TextEvo is for text, and I'm gonna make it appear by selecting the plugin in the window list, and I'm gonna have this window appearing, and you see that if you roll over on an icon, it's explained, so no worries. And I'm gonna go directly and select the title and hit the plus button, and I see that on the playhead time, you have the keyframes already added. So I'm gonna hit the play button, it doesn't do anything. That's totally normal because I need to change something in order for the plugin to understand what is the animation. So I'm going to open the transform and I'm going to go to position. I'm going to add maybe 80 pixel on Y and I see that already it's changing, and if I hit the play button I have a nice animation. So what it does is the plugin automatically detects letters, so it's staggering the effect between the letters. And if I change the delay um, value here and I hit 0 0.5, I notice that the delay is way shorter. So you can change the animation like this, and also you notice that here the keyframes there is a easing curve. So you can either change this and or this, and both are gonna affect your animation. So I'm gonna also add opacity and hit the 0 button, and I see that here now I have a nice animation. So let's say I like this animation, and I'm gonna just um, copy this animation by hitting this button, and I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna hit the paste effect. So I'm gonna just, this is so much information, so I'm gonna hit the U button to hide it, and then I see that here it's the effect has been pasted on my playhead time. So I move this around, and let's see what it does with this. And it's pretty nice, but the animation takes too long because there is a lot of text. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna reduce the preview area, and I'm gonna put the end of the previewing area by hitting the end button, and I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go to maybe change based on mode, and here you can see that you have several options, and I'm gonna hit the line button, and now let's see. Yeah, perfect. So the animation is doing the same thing except that instead of staggering between letters, it's gonna stagger between lines. So very easily you can create an animation and duplicate it on different elements. Next plugin I want to show is InspectorSpaceTime. This one is also developed by Adam Plouffe and the Google team, and you can download it from this website. This plugin is also very helpful for interactive project because it's dedicated for designers and developers. So if you go to File, Scripts, and InspectorSpaceTime, you have this window opening up. I'm gonna go to the flow composition and I'm gonna select the keyframes I use to animate this image, and I'm gonna hit this button. And here you can see that as a developer it's very handy. Like I can see all the different transform channels, the delay, the duration, the values of each parameter. Another very helpful tool is the counter, which you can add in the top right corner. And what it does, it's actually counting and converting keyframes into milliseconds, because developers, they don't use keyframes or frame per seconds, they use milliseconds. And here you see that on the top left corner, you can transfer and transform keyframes into actual milliseconds. So you can either hit this button and have the information in the spec panel, or you can use this just as a reference.